All right, welcome back to the Time to Be You podcast. I am your host, Laura Berens, and on the show today we have Megan Flatt. Hi, Megan, how are you?
Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
All right, well, I'm so excited for you too, because since most of our listeners are moms or they're entrepreneurs, this is a perfect fit since that's who you coach. So can you tell us a little bit of a background of what your business is, and then how did you get into it? What were you doing before you started this consulting and coaching business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are going to love, I'm so excited to share my segue into coaching with you because I think that it's right up your alley. But I'm a business growth strategist and I work primarily with female entrepreneurs and specifically, like you said, mom entrepreneurs. So women who are running their own businesses, but at the same time want to be actively present in the day-to-day lives of their kids. So for many of my clients, they've either kind of opted out of the corporate setting or they're looking for a way to, be able to be there for their kids, volunteer in their classroom, pick them up from school, but still, use their brains and use their skills and their knowledge and build a business, contribute to the family's, finances and all of those pieces. So, yeah. But my background is actually in pre and postnatal fitness, which is...
Oh my gosh, how come I didn't know that?
I know it gets a little bit buried in my bio, but that's actually, and that is a little bit how I made the segue from fitness to business coaching, is because so many of my clients, and that's why I love your products are amazing, because those were so my clientele and struggling with that. But I was working with a lot of moms who were pregnant or had recently had a baby, and they were in this place of transition. They were, do I go back to work full time? Do I leave my child home with a nanny? Do I quit my job that I've worked so hard for and my degree and my education and stay home with my child? And so while we were working out, we were having all of these questions. And I had done a lot of business consulting inside the fitness industry prior to having kids myself. And so I always joke, it was like we were talking, everything we talked about between the bicep curls, right? So we'd be doing personal training and we'd be talking about how they could start a consulting business, how they could start, how they could not have to go back to their full-time corporate job, but still be able to, earn income or do something that they were passionate about, or, maybe they didn't want to go back to the corporate and maybe they wanted to do something new. And so, I used all my fitness business background to really start talking to these moms about how they could build their own businesses.
And I think that, as myself, I was a first-time mom, and I guess I didn't really, before you're a mom, you just don't know. And you think, okay, I'm going to have the kid and I'll just go back to work or do all the things I was doing before. And then you're like, oh my gosh, being a mom is like a full-time job, especially if you don't have childcare. So you do have to make a choice, do you want to go back to work? Do you want your child in full-time childcare? Do you want a nanny? Do you want to work part-time? Right. And I don't think that it's talked about enough at all. I don't feel like there's resources. I mean, we all go to pregnancy classes and we go to all these things, but there's really no one starts going, okay, well, what are you going to do afterwards? How are you going to structure your time management with taking care of a kid? And it's just not out there socially.
Exactly. So, no, I think you're completely right. And I think that there's this kind of misperception or misconception about this. Like, I feel like society kind of saddles us with this. It doesn't matter what you choose, you're wrong. And I sometimes, joke, but it's not a joke. Like, working moms are seen as selfish, like, oh, how can you leave your child? And how can you're so selfish. And then stay-at-home moms are seen as lazy, right?
Which, by the way, that is like the hardest job out of all of them.
Exactly. But it's like, we're kind of set up for this like lose-lose situation. It's like whatever you choose. And I think, so women are turning to entrepreneurship at a rate of 2-to-1 over men. And I think that statistic is true because of exactly what we're talking about. I think that there's a whole segment of moms that I kind of jokingly call us the moms in the middle. Like they want part of what being a stay-at-home mom offers, as far as the ability to be with your children and raise your family and those things. And then they want part of what being a full-time working outside of the home mom has. And so I think that's why entrepreneurship is so popular with moms.
Well, and I think there's different levels, different levels of entrepreneurship. Like if you were running two businesses, like sometimes that is going to be full-time. You're not going to be able to do part-time mom with that at the same time. But if you're, like for me, I tried to do that, and I tried to have just part-time daycare, and it was just so overwhelming. You can't work with a toddler.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
But there is some type of entrepreneurship where it's just part-time work. And in that case, you can work while the child's napping, early mornings, that type of stuff, where you can kind of break it up and still have no childcare at all. So I think there's definitely different levels of entrepreneurship, and it just depends on which path you're choosing. And another thing to add on to that is, there is, I want to say you're damned if you will, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
So, you go back to work, your child's in full-time daycare, there's some mom guilt, like totally not with my kid a lot because I'm working all the time trying to, build this business. And then you're stay at home, and, people kind of go, oh, you're stay at home mom, you can just lounge around and do whatever, which is not the case. So yes, I completely agree that society has really, damned us on which way we can
there's
really
not
go.
A lot of options there.
Yeah.
So I think it's up to us to kind of create a new, and that's what I'm really trying to do within my business. And I have a Facebook group called the Mama CEO Club. And that's what I'm really trying to change the conversation around, what it means to be a working mom, like whatever that looks like for you, but specifically for my clients, it's entrepreneurship. And I'm also a huge advocate of childcare and of not, juggling, not trying to juggle your schedule, but knowing kind of when you have dedicated work time. But whether your dedicated work time is 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, like whatever it is, then, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I know you were doing pre and postnatal fitness. Was there a aha moment that you go, you know what? I don't want to do this. I actually want to do business consulting for the fitness and moms. Was there a time that you kind of just shifted?
Yeah. So what my aha moment is really, I think about it all the time. And so basically I had been doing a lot of consulting work. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. So I've actually never had a 9-to-5 job. So I've always had a job where I was either doing something completely entrepreneurial, or even when I was doing fitness and when I was a personal trainer, even though I at times worked at a gym, it still is a very entrepreneurial, kind of setting my own hours and a lot of the, so I'd actually never had a 9-to-5 job. And before my son is about to turn 10, he turns 10 on Friday actually, but before my son was born, I had been traveling a lot. I was doing a lot of consulting work. And I just thought, this is going to be too hard. I don't want to travel this much with a kid, with a baby. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go, and I'm, using air quotes here, I'm going to be just a personal trainer. And so I kind of quit all of my consulting work. I quit I was doing consulting work for a couple of different companies. I quit all of that. I had my baby. I continued to see my in-home clients. I started working at a gym, and 2.5 years later, my daughter was born. And there was a moment where I remember I pulled into the driveway, and I had this like toddler and this infant strapped into their car seat in the back seat. And everything was great. I had this great family. I had this great husband, like everything seemed perfect. And I just burst into tears. And I was just sitting, I'm sitting in my driveway, just like, what is this? What am I doing? And I really thought for a while, I thought it was because, and I'm sure at that point I had just picked the kids up from daycare or whatever it was. I thought that I was upset because I wasn't a stay-at-home mom. My mom had been a stay-at-home mom, and I really valued, her being able to really be there for us. And so as I'm sitting in my driveway and I'm kind of, in tears, and I'm like, wait, am I upset because I'm working? And what I realized is that I wasn't upset about working. I was upset that I wasn't working for myself, and that I had all of these skills and talents and ideas and inspiration that I wanted to be. And I wanted it to be on my terms. And that was when I realized right there in my driveway, like, okay, I have to shift back to full-time, putting all my effort into entrepreneurship. And that's when I really shifted and really made the shift over to what I'm doing now.
And then at that point, were you like, okay, I have to have a full day of work. The kids are going to have to do full-time childcare?
No, I think like you said, I think at that point I was really juggling, everything. Like from a financial, I needed to work from a financial standpoint. We live in the San Francisco Bay Area, so it's really expensive to live here. We needed 2 incomes. And so then it was this, I wasn't exactly sure what was I going to do something within the fitness industry? Was I going to shift? I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do, and I needed to keep working. I needed to keep personal training to kind of fund my transition. And that was really hard. And if any of your listeners are, kind of in that position where you're still doing a day job, or you're still, you're trying to build something up. And I actually had a business mentor say to me, because I was really resentful of my job at that point, once I'd made that decision. And then I had a mentor say to me to think of it as your business loan. And that was such an aha moment for me that everything I was doing was going to start contributing, how to roll in this new career that I was building for myself. And so I was still personal training a little, I would go to see a client in their house, and then I would stop at a coffee shop. And a lot of times I would have my infant daughter with me, and I started blogging. I kind of transitioned from fitness to more parenting and kind of lifestyle. And I'd always, my fitness consulting had always been around time management and project planning and those things. So I started talking about that from a parenting standpoint. And then I really realized that the clients or the audience members of my blog that I really enjoyed talking to were the ones that were trying to start a business or trying to balance their business. And so I just slowly shifted. And so much, so much of fitness philosophy transfers right over to business.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And since I've done wellness coaching, sometimes I go, I don't know, there's times I feel like I'm a psychologist.
Yeah. It's all the same.
So when you're working out or you're training someone with diet, it's a lot of it is just mental
mindset,
getting their mindset right. So there's times I get off a coaching call and I'm like, I don't even know if we talked about how many reps they're going to do on that next exercise.
Right. And sometimes that's the more important conversation to be having,
definitely.
Is the mindset piece. Yeah.
So talking about your clients, what are the type of women that you are helping? I know most of them are moms. What are they all kind of similar businesses, different type of businesses? Is it, different across the board? What type of clients are they?
Yeah. And my business, I think, all of us, our businesses evolve and shift. And I talk a lot about this concept of like the spiral staircase, where we're constantly building a business is not a linear process.
Not at all.
It's a spiral process. Yeah. And you keep revisiting the same kind of ideas and themes and asking and getting more clarity. And so as I've built my business over, my daughter was born in 2011. So over the last, 7 years that I've been building this business, kind of constantly refining exactly who I work with and exactly where my area of expertise is. And so I really started with helping moms start businesses and figure out what they wanted to do. But now my clientele everyone is established business owners. And they're really just looking to take their business to kind of, I always hate the phrase, take it to the next level, but they're really just looking to, okay, how do I scale my business? How do I leverage my time better? How do I hone my skills? How do I work with my clients differently? So those are really the type of clients that I'm working with now, clients that already have established businesses that are working their business full time, whatever that means to them, maybe not 40 hours a week, but this is their main focus, as opposed to, like you were saying, doing something on the side or something that most of these, my clients are doing this. This is their career, and this is what they're doing to bring in income for their family and all of those things.